Hi, my name is Rachel Benson, and this is discussion 2 on the flipped classroom. First, I have included a video lesson explaining the flipped classroom model. This model is a new method where teachers, instructors, or professors use online media to deliver notes, lectures, and related course materials. Students then review these materials at home and at their own pace. Classroom periods are then transformed into hands-on work and cooperative learning where students can engage in discussion and other meaningful activities. Of course, there are advantages and disadvantages to the new model. In the classroom, the upside is a change of focus from the teacher to student-centered learning. A downside in the classroom is that we are still assessing with standardized tests. We now need to flip our assessments. The upside for homework is that students have more flexibility. However, the downside is it creates a bigger gap among the digital divide. Students have more control over their own learning. However, screen time has now increased. Does the flipped classroom work for all ages and all types of learners? Of course, no educational model is a one-size-fits-all, end-all, be-all. Flipping, which is really just an adaptation of blended learning, is an important part of personalized student learning. Blended learning is a term increasingly used to describe the way e-learning is combined with traditional classroom methods and independent study to create a new hybrid teaching methodology. It represents a fundamental change in the way teachers and students approach learning, which also shows the flipped classroom as an offshoot of blended learning. Traditional education tends to place an emphasis on delivering materials by the way of lecture, while in blended learning models and the flipped classroom lectures can be videotaped ahead of time so the student can watch on their own time. Then the classroom time is transformed more likely to be structured exercises that emphasize the application of the curriculum to solve problems. Earlier, I described how an upside is that it creates more flexibility for the student. Well, during the class activity, it also creates more flexibility for the teacher because the teacher can spend time with the students who need more help understanding the course objectives. In a traditional classroom, instructors use class time to lecture and disseminate support materials. Students then review these materials and complete any assignments at home on their own time. Here are examples of elementary lessons on Martin Luther King Jr. that we would use in the flipped classroom at home. For example, in number 1 is reading a book online. Day 2, they could go home and watch a short animated lesson. And then on day 3, they could view an educational hip-hop song put to video. Here's an example of middle school science lessons. Lessons don't always need to be in traditional lecture-style videos. For example, the first one is a science project created by students. The second is basic science models used by teachers to explain the class material. And third is simple science graphs and diagrams that are used to explain science objectives. Okay, so here's an example of a high school trigonometry lesson. The first is a simple tutorial lecture style lesson. The second is a trick for doing trigonometry methods. And lastly, getting tricky with it is a student-centered project where students are engaged in demonstrating their understanding of the material. There's an important point that was missed in the articles and websites that I reviewed, and that is the value and role of a teacher. The flipped classroom is an instructional strategy. It is not simply playing a series of videos and passing out a test. For example, here are a list of approaches that teachers may use. And the teachers use the approach based on their talents and the needs of the student. There are a lot of resources on the flipped classroom. I really enjoyed learning about the blended classroom and personalized learning as well. I feel that as we advance in technology, we will also advance in the way we teach students. I have not had any experience flipping a classroom, and this is the first time that I use Google Slides and Screencast-O-Matic. I feel that I need to practice the process to make it smoother, and thank you for listening.